Turning now to a mourning of another kind here in Grand Rapids. These are live pictures of the condolence books at the Ford Museum as the city celebrates the life and legacy and lives touched by former First Lady Betty Ford. The dynamic woman is being remembered as we learn more about how the city of Grand Rapids is working to welcome her home one final time. 24-hour News 8's Dani Carlson is live tonight at the museum with that part of the story. Dani?
Mark, as you mentioned with the condolence book, just the sheer outpouring of number of people who have come into these doors since Friday night, since it was announced that Mrs. Ford had passed. We found out 2,500 people have signed condolence books. They've already gone through several condolence books in a huge outpouring for an event that has taken years to plan. A Ford Foundation spokesperson told us that planning for this funeral may have started back when President Ford was in office. Mrs. Ford's body is expected to fly into Grand Rapids Ford International Airport on Wednesday around 5 p.m. and there will be a motorcade from the airport right here to the Ford Museum. Now, we spoke with city officials earlier today. They say they do expect that traffic to be opposite the flow of rush hour traffic, but do recommend that you check in for traffic tips as that day gets closer. Also, Tuesday and Wednesday, you can expect to see several lane closures throughout the city of Grand Rapids, and we have found out that on Thursday, Pearl Street is expected to be completely closed. Now, as far as that procession route, we're told that it can be expected to be very similar to President Ford procession route, but as far as how many people will turn out to say their final farewells to Mrs. Ford, no one quite yet knows.
Well, obviously, she's not only First Lady of our country, but First Lady of our city, and it's very important that we honor her in a very, very special way, and that's what the whole team is working to do.
City officials say they expect to have hundreds of city personnel throughout the throughout the procession route for Thursday. They have taken several years to plan this. And as far as for when President Ford was laid to rest, we're told that 62,000 people came to pay their final respects, and no one knows exactly how many people will turn out to say goodbye to Mrs. Ford. Live in Grand Rapids, Dani Carlson, 24-hour News 8.
All right, Dani, thank you for that. Our coverage of the life and impact of Betty Ford will continue throughout this week. Again, here's a breakdown of what we expect to happen. On Tuesday, a funeral service will be held at St. Margaret's Episcopal Church in Palm Desert, California. Fellow former First Lady Rosalind Carter will give the eulogy. On Wednesday, Betty Ford's body will arrive in Grand Rapids around 5 p.m. She will lie in repose at the Ford Museum with the doors open to the public, likely around 7. On Thursday, on the birthday of her husband, Gerald Ford, the former First Lady will be laid to rest. The process starts around noon. That's when a procession will take Mrs. Ford and her family from the museum to Grace Episcopal Church. That's where the services will be held around 2 o'clock. Following that service, the procession will make its way back through town to the museum, where the family will have a private burial service.